Well, cheers to all the moms out there. Where are they? Yeah? And do we have any moms of moms? Like grandmas? Yeah, right? 'Cause we did it for ourselves, and now we're doing it again as well. And so I'm a grandma of 7 right now. And I'll tell you, these guys are so cute. These are now 4. They're not twins, but different kids. And is it, oh, I didn't realize how bright the screen is. Let's see if we can, a little bit better. Yes, yes. So that's Ian and Cole. And I tell you, when I hold those little babies and they look lovingly into your eyes and they wrap their little fingers around yours, and then maybe, as with this grandbaby, I held her for the very first time and she all out her diapers, all over my chest. That's how she greeted me. And she is still an exploder. What is with that? I don't know, but that's, at least once a visit, I get ruined, with all of her explosions. It's funny how it's so cute when they're little kids, but when your spouse does that kind of stuff, it's not so cute. Isn't that kind of funny? So we're here to celebrate moms and all the wonderful things that we do for babies, to bring them into the world, to keep them healthy and safe from harm, to teach them everything that they need to know to get out there in the real world and become independent adults, right? But today we're going to approach it slightly different, kind of like the flip side, and talk about all the things that these little kids teach us. Those sweet little angels, they come into the world and they teach us how to be more loving, compassionate, patient, right? Oh, can they teach us to be a little bit more patient, right? I don't know if any of you have seen this on YouTube. How many of you have seen this? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So if you go to YouTube and just search Big Sister covers baby brother in peanut butter. So they're up on the kitchen table and Mom's videotaping, and she'll say, "What are you doing to Ethan?" And she says, "Scrubbing." "Ethan, do you like this?" "Uh-huh." And look at it, he's got it dripping out of his eye. It's just a little bit gross there, but anyway. It's these kind of antics that remind us to laugh and to giggle and to realize what those true priorities in life really are all about. But I'm here to kind of even go a step further than that. Yes, they teach us a lot of stuff, but they also are very, very wise and about a lot of things. Like, for example, babies know everything there is to know about healthy living. It's just that we kind of forgot along the way. And I'll tell you, we really need to remember all that wisdom, because as adults, oh my gosh, are we in bad shape? We've got some disastrous health habits. For example, when we talk about eating, babies innately know how to eat, do they not? Yeah. Right? And they know a perfect amount, whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding. They will clench up their lips. They will tell you they've had enough, and you can't get that bottle in there. Sometimes they'll let you get away with a little bit, and they'll fill up their mouth with milk and then drool it all out afterwards. Sometimes it'll even go on the stomach, but it's coming back up, right? They innately know how much to eat. And then what happens? We start getting messages like this throughout our life, which kind of explains why I like chocolate and don't like peas, right? Because we put desserts and sweet things up high on the pedestal, and then all of a sudden, this is how we're eating. A lot of overeating and stress eating, and so we've kind of forgotten what true hunger is all about. We don't eat according to our needs. We eat according to whatever it is that we want. And that's unfortunate, because it doesn't leave us in pretty good shape. And then think about how kids play. Kids want to wiggle and squirm. They want to move. They just got to get out there and dance. I've got this cute little video, and I didn't know about how Wi-Fi was going to be, but my 4-year-old grandson, who at that point was 2, he was just out in the patio just bebopping to the music. So cute, so cute. And that's just how kids are. They just naturally move their body. And then what happens? we grow up and they tell us to stop fidgeting, stop moving, to settle down and be serious, right? Because playing isn't how we're going to make a living. We need to be serious. And then what happens? Well, we still love those yoga pants, all right, but it doesn't seem like most of us like to do yoga or any other kind of exercise for that matter, right? We just don't feel like playing. And even when we're not exercising, you think about it, we're sitting most of our day in the car, in meetings, in the, at our desk, on the couch. We spend our whole day sitting down. And then what happens? Well, if you think about it, CDC says 2/3 of us are now overweight or obese. Almost half of us have diabetes or prediabetes, and 2/3 of us have hypertension or prehypertension. So we're in bad shape health-wise because of some of those messages that we've gotten away from. And then the third way that babies, I think, are a little wiser than us is they know how to recharge, don't they? They know that sleep is important, and there's just no way. I'm sure you remember your kids, you'd be feeding them, and they'd fall asleep in the middle of their meal. And I have this one video of Annie's eating a sandwich, and then he would put it back in his mouth, and he'd fall asleep. Just so cute. But see, they know to give in when the body says, I've had enough. They know how to recharge. And then we start getting messages like these, telling us that, sleep are for babies, and, we've got more important things to do. And it's no wonder that we don't know how to shut down anymore. We're not getting enough sleep. 41%, according to a recent Gallup poll, says we're not getting enough sleep. And you remember the slide that I showed you earlier where I said overeating and lack of exercise leads to these conditions? Well, most of us don't understand the importance of sleep. It is not just to make us feel better. And that's what people think. Well, no, I feel fine. Another cup of coffee and I'll be fine, right? And we are so jacked up on coffee, caffeine, and adrenaline from stress that we don't even recognize when we need to shut down anymore. So think about this. Overeating and lack of exercise leads to this, but realize when we don't get enough sleep, the medical research says it increases our chances of being overweight or obese. Diabetes, pre-diabetes go up, and so does hypertension. So, it is absolutely critical we get back to the wisdom we used to know. And so that's what I wanted to talk with you about. How we can get back to the stuff we used to know. The thing is, what I like to say is that, well, we all have a baby inside of us. How many of you were once a baby yourself? Is that everybody? Yeah. We were there, and it's like learning how to ride a bike. Even if you haven't been on it for a couple of decades, you get back on it, you're a little wiggly. But you know what? You can get back in touch with that. I think we can all get back to our inner wisdom as well. We can channel that baby. I think we should have bracelets that say WWBD. What would baby do? So before you make a decision, you say, well, what would the baby in me do? I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. So let's talk about, first of all, eating. All right? Because babies have got this right until at some point we screw them up. And then they're on their path. Let me share a story of something I think that many of us can probably identify with. I've heard this story many times from different people. I was speaking at a conference in Dallas last month, and a woman came up to me at the reception the night before, and she found out I was a speaker and what I was speaking on. She's like, oh, I really need to talk to you because I have this problem with food. People confess all weird things to me. And it's not just about food. I hear about their sex life and everything like that. I don't know. I just have that kind of personality. And so, we sit down at some comfortable couch and she talks to me about her eating problem. Because she says that she's really good all day, but she gets home, she walks in the kitchen, she walks into that pantry, and she says, I don't know what happens. I just lose control and I'm eating everything in sight. Cookies and crackers and chips, things that I don't even like. I'm eating. My hunger is so out of control. She said, I've actually made an appointment with a psychologist because I think I have a serious eating disorder. Well, I had a serious eating disorder, so I really know what it's all about. I didn't get into this field because, I love nutrition. I didn't get in the field to help you guys because, frankly, I was all about trying to help myself. I started first with anorexia. So at that point, I weighed 45 pounds less than I do right now. Yeah. And for those of you who say, I just want to be anorexic for a day or two, I hear this all the time. And it's like, it is a really serious mental disorder. It is the highest rate of mortality, death, out of any of the other mental disorders. Luckily, I didn't die. I went off to college where they had this all-you-can-eat meal plan. And I followed directions really well. And I ate everything in sight and became bulimic all through college while I'm becoming a registered dietitian, mind you. In fact, I was a registered dietitian as I was still dealing with this. So I went from bulimia to binge eating, overeating. I know all about this. I was either planning a diet, I was on a diet, or I was blowing the diet. I mean, that's how I did it for many, many years. So when she shared that story with me, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I felt like I had some insight as to what's going on because I see this happening all the time. I said to her, well, tell me, what do you have for breakfast? And she said, well, I'm not very hungry, so I just usually have a little bit of coffee. Okay. And lunch? Well, they have a cafeteria downstairs, a good salad bar, so I usually have just a grilled chicken salad, because I'm not really hungry. And besides, I'm just sitting at my desk. I'm not burning a lot of calories. Mm-hmm. And then tell me what happens afterwards. Well, that's what happened, the pantry thing. She said it started at the pantry, but it went all the way until bedtime. She just binged the whole night long. Can any of you relate to that? Maybe you or somebody you love, where the eating is totally out of control. They feel like they're addicted to food. They have no willpower. They feel like maybe it's a psychological thing because, you can't motivate them to get back on track. So I shared with her how she is fueling her body. Because, many of us know what these lights run on, our cars run on, but we forget that we run on fuel. In fact, do you know what the word calories is? If you would look it up in the dictionary, do you know what they would say? I think it's only registered dietitians that have actually done that. It is a measurement of energy, absolutely. So when you drink coffee without the sugar, okay, and without the cream, when it's black, it has really no calories. So guess what? It cannot give you energy. Now, you feel energized because you're having a stimulant drug, but you're not really getting energy. You just feel like it. You're fooling yourself. So when she goes all day without eating, all through the night, into the day, and she eats very little, basically she's gone like 20 hours without eating, and guess what happens? The body says, enough! Give me some food and I want it now. And that's what happens with the binging. See, most people know that we burn calories when we do some kind of exercise, right? We all know that. But I want you to realize that that's not it. She didn't have a food problem. She had a fuel problem. Because 60 to 75% of all the calories that we burn in a given day is just to keep us alive. For our heart to beat, for our lungs to breathe, for our brain to kind of coordinate all of that. We're burning calories 24/7. Not just when we're exercising, not just when we're moving. We're burning calories even when we're sleeping. So when you look at how we burn calories, yeah, we're going to burn a little bit more calories when we're exercising, but we're not going to do that all day. But we're burning calories when we're sleeping. And look at even when we're eating, we're sitting at our desk, we're burning more calories when we're sleeping, but it's not a significant amount. In other words, we are burning calories throughout the entire day. So when we fuel our body in a different way of when we burn it, that's when we run into problems. See, babies innately know they don't need any calories, so they're not hungry, so they don't eat. We think that we should eat in this designed pattern. This is what I'll have for breakfast. This is what I'll have for lunch. This is what I'll have for dinner, without even thinking about how the body needs those calories. And the research shows that how you fuel your body will determine even like body fat percentage. So people who, how Weight Watchers might say, and I know that they don't do calories, but even those points translate into calories. So it's like I can have it whenever I want. If I want to have it in the evening, I'll save my calories. You can do that, and you'll probably lose weight. But body fat percentage-wise, no, it's not the same at all. Not the same at all. So if you want to know more details about that, I actually have a really good animated video that I put on my website. I did the video, and I try to make it very compact. But my YouTube channel is Go Dr. Joe, because, Dr. Joe, on the go. Well, anyway. It's funny because I try to register with, and I've been on YouTube for a lot of years, I try to register under Dr. Joe, and they wouldn't take 4 letters. You had to have 6 at least. And so anyway, that's how I became Go Dr. Joe. But anyway, watch for that video, and it would really explain in a great detail. But we don't have time to go into all of that. But just to remind yourself, I want you to think about the food that you eat is food. And I'll tell you, that was the turning point to my eating disorder. We know that eating disorders are a mental disorder. It's not because I didn't need work up there, but you know what? Let's face it, you can't do work up there if you're not fueling the brain in the first place. So it's still the nutrition piece that I think is the most important, even before you get up there and do some work. So I did recover, thank goodness. And so I'm just here to share with you to start thinking about food as fuel a little bit. If you exercise first thing in the morning and you're not eating breakfast, it's not very wise. Especially when you watch that video, you'll see what's happening. You're not building up muscle mass. You're breaking it down. Because the body has to get the fuel from somewhere. And for those of you who are saying, oh no, Joe, I've got plenty of fat stores. Sorry. Fat is just one of our stores. We need glucose along with fat. And anyway, you watch that video and you'll find out more about it. So think about having breakfast. How many of you always have breakfast? Not just today, but you've just got to have it. See, look around, that maybe 1/3 of you. It's incredible how many people don't eat breakfast. And I know people say, well, I'm not hungry. Realize that's from years of training, because you know what? School kids almost routinely eat breakfast. Elementary school, pretty good. By the time they get in junior high and high school, they've gotten away from it. It's only because we've kind of trained ourselves. It's not because we're not hungry. For those of you who say, but if I eat breakfast, I'm hungry a few hours later, realize you're supposed to be hungry a few hours later. That's how it works. You know what I mean? You need fuel on a regular basis. Now, if you get hungry 1 hour later, my guess is you didn't eat enough or you ate the wrong breakfast. We had some protein. Excellent. Protein helps you to sustain it a little bit longer. So think about fueling your day with food. Now, for those of you who are already saying, yeah, but Joe, do you ever have any fun with food? You sound like you're going to be a bore to be around. And, because kids like to eat too, right? They like to have their sweets. But have you noticed, younger kids especially, they don't finish it all? How many of you have a hard time leaving some dessert on the plate? How many of you actually lick the plate to get it all up, right? We have a hard time with this clean plate mentality. So I just wanted to let you know that I eat chocolate every single day. In fact, I brought those chocolates on the table. I'm giving you permission to eat chocolates. I eat chocolate every single day, and it's only in the morning time. And that's because I had to get away from that, rewarding yourself. If you eat your veggies, you can have dessert. So I give myself permission to have chocolate every single day after breakfast. So I brought them to this breakfast. So please enjoy. And if there's not enough, I've got some more, okay? Because that's my allotment, is I have 4. Somebody asked me, how many chocolates do you allow yourself? And I'm like, it's not really the word that I use, because I put out 4. Sometimes I eat 1 or 2 or 3, not too often, to be honest. But, most of the time I eat 4, but sometimes I reach for more. I do. But I just put out 4 because I kind of keeps it a little bit more conscious. If I'm reaching for the 8th or the 10th one, I have to say, Joe, what is happening? Something else is going on. So anyway, ask yourself, this is, by the way, because Dove chocolates have those little messages inside. So I thought I'd put my tips on the Dove chocolate. I'm not being paid by Dove Company, the Mars Company, but if any of you know somebody within the company, I'd love to be paid by them. Because I talk about them enough. But anyway, how can you better fuel your body? Think about that as you go through the day. Listen to your hunger. It is a sign that we are supposed to listen to it before it gets out of control. Now, kids also naturally know how to play, right? And we've gotten away from that. And why is that? Well, I asked my daughter when she was in the 2nd or the 3rd grade this question, because it was the 1st grade that they were changing classes, and she was so worried when she learned that they were going to change classes, and she was worried about getting lost, and so she was so anxious to go to school. So I wanted to be there that first day when she got off the school bus, and I said, Holly, how did you go at school? good. I said, what was your favorite class? Anybody want to guess? Recess, absolutely. That was her favorite class. Kind of threw me off because I wasn't expecting this. You kind of knew where I was heading, right? But she said recess, and I said, so did you like gym class too? No. You liked recess, but you didn't like gym? Why? Because at gym class, you have to wear a uniform and follow other people's rules. At recess, I get to play with whoever I want and do whatever I want. I wrote it down. I wrote that down 20-something years ago because it just blew me away. I'm thinking, I never really thought about that. But see, that's where we get into trouble. That's why we stop exercising so much. First of all, because there are all these rules that, what you're supposed to do. And people use kind of language where they say, I have to exercise. What does that imply? No choice, right? There's this rule. And it's okay to kind of pay attention to the guidelines that we need some aerobic exercise, some flexibility. That's fine. My expression is follow the guidelines, make up your own rules. And I think if we make up our own rules, then it's more fun. We want to do it because we like our own rules, right? We don't like other people's rules. We like our own rules. And so actually this video, you can find that if you go to, again, go Dr. Joe. I've posted on Facebook and so forth. Have you heard of the 7-minute workout? Yes. And actually, Johnson & Johnson was one of my biggest contracts. I did not sign the contract for 2018. So I hadn't done this before, but now that I'm no longer working with them, I'm kind of making fun of them. So in the video, I said, how many of you have heard of the 7-minute workout? Well, I can do one better, the 1-minute workout. And basically, it's something I've been doing for 25 years, and it's not really 1 minute. In the same way that the 7-minute workout really isn't 7 minutes. If you don't know, you have to go into that. But anyway, all it is something that I started doing 25 years ago in a hotel room because a lot of times the workout rooms were not working properly, and I needed a workout, because I might be on the road for 5 days at a time. And so all this is you do 1 minute of an aerobic exercise, like jumping rope, jumping jacks, or twisting or whatever, and then you do 1 minute of a resistance activity where I use my exercise bands, do some push-ups, and I just set my timer and I go back and forth through as many times as I want. But watch it, it's just a few minutes long. And also, if you wanted to get on my email list, here's a real quick, easy way. You just go to your text, type in the word DRJO, no spaces or anything. I don't even think it needs to be caps. And you send it to this number, 22828, and then you get on my email list, and then you'll hear about all these stupid videos that I put up there all the time. So that's one of them, is we need to play by our own rules because that makes it a lot more fun. But secondly, I always say we tend to think more about the chore of exercise rather than the joy of movement. And people do things that aren't fun. I have to go to the gym. I have to do 30 minutes on the exercise bike, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I had to go on the exercise bike or the treadmill, I know some of you like it, and maybe you listen to something that makes you escape. I don't know. I don't get it. I can't do it. I just can't do it at all. And so I have to do something fun. Let me share with you a couple of ideas. Last year, I went and did 70 interviews with business executives about how they stay healthy and fit on the road. I'm putting out a podcast coming up soon, and but also my book, How to Stay Healthy and Fit on the Road, was about that too. And so I wanted some stories for that. And I heard so many fascinating stories of people that are doing such fun things out there. Here's Jesse Rodgers. He's in sales. He covers all of South America. And he said he got so bored in the 1990s of going to the gym that he stopped working out. And at some point he said, I've got to find something fun. He likes to skateboard. He did it when he was younger. So he travels he's stationed in California. He travels all through South America with his skateboard. And because he's not a young guy anymore, as he says, his helmet and pads and everything else. And he books a hotel that's by the skate park so he can skate every single day at lunchtime. Isn't that cool? What's even funnier, I think, is the kids there, because they're not used to seeing an old guy there at the skate park, call him Tio, which translates to uncle, but I guess to him it really means old man, I guess, But they get a kick out of the fact that he's out there doing it. Here's Jack Graaff. He's in Amsterdam, works with Johnson & Johnson, so that's where I met him. And he tells me that he never really exercised until he had some chronic back problem. Someone turned him into this, it's this yoga technique that I looked it up, and we don't really have it in the States. It has to do with spinal alignment because he had spinal hernia, which was causing him this chronic pain. And he said he loves it so much that he can just get caught up in the flow, and he's doing it for 2 hours later. I mean, remember that as a kid when you would exercise, go out there for hours because you were just lost. You lost track of time. That's where I think exercise should be. It should be more fun. It should be playful. I'm well into my middle years, and I tap dance once or twice a week. And just to give you some idea, most dance schools have 2 tap classes. There's the beginner class where they teach you how to shuffle, and then you go into the advanced class, which is usually your second year. So in my tap class last year, on the last day of tap school, teacher gave us all glow bracelets. That gives you some idea of the age of the kids in that class. So anyway, but I tap dance with them, and I'll tell you, they're good. And on Wednesday night, I take them with Disney dancers and former Rockettes, and it's really, really fast. And they're a little bit older, but still I'm twice as old as the oldest student there. So anyway, find something that you can really enjoy. So how can you play more? Do you remember things that you used to do as a kid? Could you get back into them again? Wouldn't it be fun if you did them with your kids and your grandkids too? To show them that, we don't end exercise or play or whatever when we're a teenager, that we can do it forever. Babies also know how to recharge, and I'll tell you, this is the most difficult. I do continuing education even on sleep, where we might be talking for hours about sleep, and I'll tell you, persuading people that are very busy that sleep is important, it's really a tough sell, because we have gotten so caught up in using either stress, which you know how you're in a stressful situation, you can be tired. Have you ever been in a near car accident? You're very sleepy and drowsy, and then someone pulls out in front of you, slam on the brakes, and all of a sudden you're like, right? That's what stress does. It jacks us up like, a double cup of espresso. And unfortunately, that's kind of just fake energy. It isn't real energy. We need sleep to recharge. Babies do this naturally. We not so much. And so people are saying, well, no, I think I'm getting enough sleep. You know what? Here's my test question that I always ask people. If you're in a boring meeting, do you fall asleep? And I'll tell you, nearly everybody says, yeah, if it's boring. You know what? If you had enough sleep, you'll be bored, but you shouldn't fall asleep. If you're falling asleep, my guess is you're not getting enough sleep. And notoriously, we don't get enough. But, it's not just about the hours of sleep. I think that's where a lot of confusion is. It really is about the quality of the sleep. So not just the hours. It's not just saying, I had 5, 6, 7, or whatever. But you know what? We sleep in sleep cycles. Are any of you familiar with the 90-minute sleep cycle? Kind of like, especially now with the sleep apps. So we sleep in a 90-minute sleep cycle, which means that we go from being awake into a light state, into a deep sleep. The deep sleep is where a lot of the body recovers. It heals from illnesses and cuts, from stress. It helps us to reduce our risk of diabetes and high blood pressure. It even helps us to control our weight. People who get that good quality sleep manage their weight better. And then we go up into REM sleep, which is where we dream. And that's really very important for our emotional health and our mood. So we need both that deep sleep and that REM sleep, very rejuvenative. But unfortunately, and that goes throughout the night, but unfortunately, a lot of us are having our sleep interrupted. Maybe it's planes, trains, and automobiles. I don't know about you, I live right by the airport, right? Or maybe it's things like babies and dogs and a sleeping, snoring partner. And each time something wakes us up, you're not logging in deep sleep. We're just jumping back up. We're skipping deep sleep. It's like Monopoly, You have to go back to go and start all over again. Maybe the next time it's allergies or chronic pain, or maybe sleep apnea. Ryan probably knows a little bit about sleep apnea. What was it?
Changed my life.
Yeah. And you found out that you actually stopped breathing 40-something times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a minute. It was ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
So bad they had to put me on the machine that night.
Right.
And
now you're alive!
Throughout the day. They say 1 in 4 people, I don't know if this is true, they say 1 in 4 people have sleep apnea. That's what the technician told me.
And especially, the older we get, certain conditions, more weight, all of that kind of stuff factor in. The thing is, it's like a vicious cycle, because with sleep apnea, you don't get good quality sleep, which increases your weight. And then if you have an increased weight, more problems. So, it's certainly something you ought to get checked out if you're at all concerned. And I'll tell you, most people with sleep apnea don't know that they've. So when I say you go get awake, it might be into a lighter state of sleep. You're not even aware that you've actually popped back up. But the thing is, you're not logging in good quality sleep. So even if for the rest of the night you get good quality sleep, it still may not be enough. There's some cool apps out there. They're not the most scientific. They're not like getting a sleep study, but it's kind of fun. For $1 or $2, you can get, this is the sleep app that I have on my phone, and it kind of shows you where you had deep sleep and REM sleep. The research shows that it's not totally accurate, but I think it gives you some idea, and here's where some people use it. Because when you wake up and your alarm goes off and you're in this state, in a deeper state of sleep, how do you feel? Yeah, extremely groggy, right? And that's sleep inertia, where people are like, and you can't remember what day it is, who's in bed with you, and that's pretty bad, even if you've been married for a long time. Have you ever looked at your spouse like, what are you doing here? Because maybe you were dreaming about something else in another world. Or is it just me? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just told you too much there. But it's kind of fun. And so what those apps do is they do detect your breathing, because it all uses noise. So it can wake you up when you're in a lighter state. So it can be useful for that. And some people find out that at least helps them feel more rejuvenated. So how can you get more interrupted sleep? Do you need to get the dog out of the bedroom? Do you need to go to the guest bedroom because your spouse is snoring so badly and they won't go and get their sleep studies done? What is it? My husband is not allowed to eat ice cream at night. I don't know what happens when he eats ice cream, but he makes the weirdest noises. Like, right? Have you ever noticed that certain things that you might eat, or your spouse or your partner, right? And so anyway, I'm like, you can have ice cream in the day, but you're not having it at night because you keep me up all night. So what can you do? The thing is, I just want to remind you that we all have this innate wisdom, because we were all babies once. We naturally know how to eat and play and recharge. All we have to do is channel that inner baby and start remembering some of the things that we used to once do. So there's your last message that I leave you with. Honor your inner baby. And start paying attention to that inner child. They are so wise. So everything we once knew about healthy living, we learned as a kid, and we can remember once again. Thank you.